I've traveled all over the planet, right? From Tokyo to Dubai to London to Copenhagen. But no place on earth makes me feel as cozy and warm as my hometown, Greenville, South Carolina. What's up, guys, and welcome back to A Sense of Travel. I'm Michael, and I'm on a mission on this channel to document all 5 senses of as many cities, countries, and natural landmarks around the world as I possibly can, so that I can immerse you into the experience through the screen. This week, I am back in my hometown of Greenville, South Carolina. And y'all, I am ready to show you, through the eyes of a tourist, what I grew up with through all 5 senses. Let's dive in.
There's something special about returning to my roots. Greenville, South Carolina was home for 23 years until that fateful day in 2020 when I made the move to Washington, D.C. With a great deal of new perspective, I'm excited to return to Greenville to bring my hometown to you through the eyes, ears, nostrils, skin, and taste buds of a tourist. Of course, what you'll see today is far from everything, but my hope is to capture the Greenville experience in a way that brings you into my sweetly southern, warm-hearted, art-loving hometown through all 5 senses, so you can feel its charm through the screen. Locals have always thought of Greenville as a big little city, and that's a pretty solid way to describe the place, if I say so myself. The city of Greenville itself only has about 70,000 residents, but the entire upstate metro area has over 1 million, making Greenville feel like the epicenter of the entire region rather than just its city limits. The heartbeat of South Carolina's upstate is perhaps one of my favorite small downtowns in the entire country. Downtown Greenville.
So this afternoon, I'm back in downtown Greenville, in my opinion, one of the best small town downtowns in the United States, with Brando and Mary Ellen. You might recognize these 2 fun faces from my blog on Portland, Oregon.
Hello.
And also from Lima and Santiago. For the person who asked if Brando is my boyfriend, I would like to clarify. This is Brando's wife.
And this is my mistress.
And this is his mistress.
Okay, that's when the comments go ham, y'all.
So we're gonna walk around downtown.
I recognize that there's some bias here, but I truly believe Greenville has one of the best, most classic-feeling main streets in the entire United States. Sprawling out dozens of blocks, Main Street is the heartbeat of the city, and it gives you a true sense of urbanity amidst a rather suburban landscape. Leafy green trees, illuminated by string lights at night, line the long street, creating a cozy, quaint, and rather lush atmosphere. Charming shops ranging from vintage clothing stores, old-timey candy shops, boutiques, to delicious fusion restaurants like Taco Sushi, bakeries, and cafes line the street where the storefronts invite you in with their sweet scents of bakery items, roasting coffee, fresh ice cream, and fried southern foods. Newer concrete and glass buildings are pretty common, but you'll also find 20th century red brick and granite buildings and plazas, stately standing along the street. Charming bookstores and cafes like Judson evoke feelings of youthful curiosity and comfort. As you imagine a summer stroll down the wide, dining patio-adorned sidewalks, imagine thick, humid, warm air filled with the sounds of engines revving, which is a southern pastime indeed, not one I love, cars rolling on asphalt, and chattering crowds. Occasional scents of auto fumes and a bit of chlorine from the city's various fountains hold strong in that thick air.
So for reasons unknown to most of us, Florence, Italy is considered a sister city for Greenville, South Carolina, and to prove our special little relationship, we have a replica of a statue that I actually saw in Florence not too long ago, right here in Greenville. Isn't he beautiful? Look at him dribble.
Sculptures and statues are omnipresent in Greenville thanks to a great arts culture. You'll find a lot of small art galleries, especially along the riverfront. And speaking of sculptures, if you've got kids or are like me and are a total child at heart, you can entertain yourself for hours searching for the mice on Main, a series of mouse statues hidden in unassuming spots across town. Greenville is an outdoorsy city, there is no denying it. It sits at the foothills of the majestic Blue Ridge Mountains in the Appalachian mountain chain, and you're never far from gorgeous, waterfall-ridden hikes. The stores on Main Street keep that front and center.
When people think of South Carolina, they automatically think about the Deep South, right? Which is totally fair. But Greenville, being in the upper northwest part of the state, really fits more into that Appalachia kind of foothills vibe. And a place that I feel like really captures that is the Mass General store here in downtown. This is one of my favorite stores in the city, and if I'm in Greenville, I never miss the opportunity to stop by and look at all the cool candy and smell all the good candles.
Old-timey gifts, barrels of candy, the ingredients for southern classics like cheese grits, and plenty of hiking gear fill the store, which smells of old wood and a bit of sweet syrup. The cool, air-conditioned air echoes with the sounds of creaking wood from the footsteps. The crown jewel of Greenville sits at the heart of a park that I have never taken for granted, and one that I have missed every single day since moving away: the Reedy River Falls. Waterfalls are a big part of the hiking scene in the Carolinas, but to have one in the heart of downtown is truly something special. The narrow, almost creek-like Reedy River cascades down the boulderous drop where an old textile mill once stood. Overlooking the majestic falls, where Greenville's growing downtown sits in the backdrop, is the Liberty Bridge, whose single-sided suspension cables allow for a panoramic, unobstructed view. Let's send it over to Brando and Mary Ellen to walk us through the senses of the Reedy River Falls.
Can we do sound first?
Let's start with sounds.
Water. Street music. The sounds of restaurants from clanking with patio tables.
But right now it's being masked by the water and wind. I would say slight sweetness from the honeysuckles and vegetables.
It's kind of floral right now because it's spring.
The wind is carrying the floral scent as you walk.
Falls Park is like Greenville's Central Park, and it takes the form of a large city garden. Set on the side of a sloping hill, the stone paths take you down to the river's edge, where scents of honeysuckles and earthy river water fill your nostrils, and the sounds of cascading water and quacking ducks fill your ears. The breeze from the river is a nice touch because, as Greenville has a humid subtropical climate, between April and October the air feels like chicken noodle soup. Now, thankfully, there's a great deal of shade from the towering trees, including Greenville's iconic Medusa tree.
Y'all, one thing I would communicate to you about this is if you do visit Greenville, South Carolina, please stop climbing on it, because that's destroying it. So don't. I'm very protective of these roots.
One final note on Falls Park is that it's constantly evolving. Sitting on the edge of the park, overlooking the falls and the river, is a lodge hotel that was built shortly after I moved away, and it mesmerizes me every time I see it. The Grand Bohemian Lodge. The Grand Bohemian perfectly captures the spirit and the ambience of Greenville and its close relationship with the Blue Ridge Mountains. Delicately crafted dark gray stone and wood, pointed triangular roofs, Victorian chimneys, and a huge emphasis on the culture of indigenous Americans make up this extravagant mountain lodge of a hotel. The lobby, open to the public, doubles as an art gallery and reading room, graced by a massive stone fireplace and lined with large windows opening to balcony overlooks of the Reedy River. A note to any design review board members watching this video: if we could incorporate this kind of architecture in every new build in town, that would be awesome. Falls Park is just one example of the places right in the heart of the city that put the green in Greenville.
So Greenville's a small southern city, and public transit is not really a thing here, but what we do have in Greenville is the Swamp Rabbit Trail, which is a 28-mile-long trail for bikers and joggers and runners and walkers and whatever, that cuts all the way up from Furman University in the north of the city, all the way down to the south side of the city, and from what I understand, it's expanding even further out into the suburbs now. And this is a really cool network that you can just hop on your bike and cycle like crazy. My grandpa once did like 60 miles total in one day on this trail. And it's not really something that you see even in a lot of bigger cities, like a protected bike network like this. So, way to go, Greenville.
As you imagine a stroll on the winding trail, imagine the sounds of rippling water from the river, a bit of construction noise, people chattering, the footsteps of runners on asphalt, gears shifting on bicycles, and chirping birds. The scents of asphalt, murky river water, red clay and dirt, and earthy greenery permeate the hot, sticky, and slightly breezy air. You'll notice as you wander the trail that many of Greenville's old textile mills are still standing and have been repurposed as lofts. Old mill water towers rise above the leafy skyline. Another note for Greenville's design review board. Alright, picture this. A 400-foot-tall observatory tower akin to Seattle's Space Needle over downtown with views of the mountains in the form of one of Greenville's historic mill water towers. Just an idea. A brilliant idea.
I also really love walking on the Swamp Rabbit because you can kind of just people watch and people listen. And of course, since moving to DC 4 years ago, I've kind of forgotten how strong the Southern accent is down here. And it's endearing for sure. I gotta start leaning into it more often, apparently. It'll make me sound nicer.
As Greenville grows, so do its green spaces, believe it or not. Unity Park is another one of those places that just kind of popped up after I moved away, and every time I return it looks like it's getting better and better.
I feel like I really took for granted just how green Greenville is. Growing up, because so much of this town is dedicated to green space, and it's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. This is Unity Park. This is actually a relatively new park. It used to be kind of an old mill and dilapidated parking lots and everything, and the city turned it into this massive green space and restored the Reedy River as it flows through all the way down to the waterfalls. And this is a really cool park. You've got really cool playgrounds with water splash pads, things like that, big green fields, these cool looking tent canopy things. Interesting. And the atmosphere is just friendly. There are so many families out, people throwing the frisbee, dogs, cyclists going down the Swamp Rabbit Trail. You've got the Commons over there, which is one of my favorite spots to grab drinks and snacks here in town. I do miss environments like this up in DC. A little more concrete, but putting the green in Greenville, as they say. Now to place yourself into a nice hot summer's day here in Unity Park, imagine the feeling of the warm sun on your skin. You're starting to sweat a little bit because, it's the South and it's humid. You'll hear the sounds of cyclists on asphalt with the Swamp Rabbit Trail, kids screaming and playing on the playgrounds, people playing basketball, airplanes from above, birds chirping, and a little bit of music from over at the Commons and the brewery just down the trail. You smell fresh cut grass that also smells a little hot because, again, welcome to the South. You can smell the murky river, the murky Reedy River, which is, it's a bit dirty, but we love it anyway. Since coming home, it has also been brought to my attention that I wear this shirt in my vlogs a lot. And I want you guys to know, I own like 5 of them, and that's why.
For a more mountainous, rugged outdoor experience, you don't even need to leave town. Paris Mountain, which should really have Greenville letters on the side of it like the Hollywood sign, just saying, is a pure oasis away from the sprawl so typical of newer southern cities. It's no secret that the South has some of the best food in the United States. Like, I've tasted mac and cheese in New England, and I'm sorry, as much as I love y'all, that ain't it. In Greenville, your taste buds never go unsatisfied.
What you have to understand is there is nothing healthy about Southern cuisine, and that's how we like it.
Here are a few of the tastes that I feel capture the city and its Southern identity. Pulled pork barbecue. A barbecue plate down here isn't a meal, it's an experience. Shredded pulled pork, doused in barbecue sauce, which around here is mustard-based, is unrivaled. Now, a solid plate will also include South Carolina's most famous vegetable, macaroni and cheese. Nobody does this quite like the South. Breakfast pochaga. And to start off, this delicious egg, syrup, sausage, and bacon-stuffed pochaga can be found at the Swamp Rabbit Cafe, an earthy little market and bakery right along the Swamp Rabbit Trail. I'd be doing you wrong if I didn't mention the freshly baked steka bread, however, which is a sweet sourdough that, if you drizzle a bit of that pochaga syrup on, tastes like heaven. Biscuits and gravy. The further removed I get from my hometown and the more I travel the world, the more I understand why people would raise their eyebrows here. I mean, it is a meal made from dry bread doused in wet bread. But I'd like to set the record straight. Tasting chunky, black-peppered gravy over thick, crumbly biscuits is a quintessential and delicious Southern experience. Now, speaking of experiences, this next one is more so for the experience than anything else.
Every time I come home, I have to make a stop at this coffee house. Genuinely the best one in the city.
Coffee Underground is like a coffee house living room for the city. On Coffee Street, located underground, I've always gotten Central Perk vibes from this low-ceiling, quirky, and dimly lit space. They have delicious desserts, boozy milkshakes, and, of course, great coffee. Cheese grits. I always chuckle and think back to the movie My Cousin Vinny and the line, "What is a grit?" when describing them to my non-Southern friends. Grits are essentially ground corn boiled with water and lavished with butter and pepper. These are a classic Southern breakfast staple, and if you really want to perfect them, you've got to have them with cheese. Glazed donut breakfast sandwiches. At a great outdoor food hall made from old train yard shipping containers called Gather Greenville sits an awesome and sweet breakfast sandwich that I really can't recommend enough. At Hendo, the glazed donut breakfast sandwich consists of eggs, cheese, sausage, and maple syrup, all on a huge glazed donut bun. Local Greenville beer.
Breweries where you can bring your dogs. Now, if that doesn't capture Greenville, South Carolina, then I don't know what does.
Greenville is really beginning to look like a brewery hub for the Southeast. Every time I return, a new brewery or beer hall has popped up. Some of my favorites include the Greenville Beer Exchange, the 8th State, and Fireforge. Look, whether it's London, Rome, or even Greenville, South Carolina, capturing the full city experience in one video isn't possible. Every city is complex, multi-layered, and rich in its identity, history, and story, and this small South Carolina gem is no exception. My hope, however, is that by diving in with me through all 5 senses, you were able to place yourself imaginatively into my beautiful hometown in a way that makes you feel as if you were right there with me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.